everybody, I'm Jammer, today back with another Mario Odyssey video. Now before we even get started, quick shout out to the guys over at GameXplain. The majority of the Odyssey footage that we will be going over in this video does come from their channel, so definitely check out their preview coverage from that event. They go super in-depth with their hands-on time with the game. I'll put a link to that video in the description. Definitely go check that out. It's required reading. You know what? I made it clear. In my last video, I talked about all the comparisons to Super Mario Sunshine that Odyssey had. Specifically how Cappy and FLUDD serve the same purpose from a design perspective. If you haven't already seen that video, definitely check that one out as well. Okay, so earlier this week, a bunch of media and news outlets got the opportunity to go to a preview event with Nintendo to play some of the new kingdoms that were shown off in Super Mario Odyssey, such as the Luncheon Kingdom, Seaside Kingdom, as well as the Cap Kingdom. While I couldn't be more jealous, we did get a bunch of new information and questions answered from their guys' preview events, specifically, of course, GameXplain's and other people as well. There was a few details that I wanted to talk about that we just barely learned from these preview events and all that stuff, so let's get started. First off is the level progression. Since it's open world in nature, we weren't entirely sure how they're going to go about minor versus major objectives. We had the brief understanding that the level or kingdom itself would be scattered with tons of moons all over the place, but how the story beats would enact within the kingdom, we weren't entirely sure how it would go. Previous entries in the series would have you select that main shine or that main star that you would be going for upon entering that level, but they seem to actually be taking a different approach here. Upon entering the kingdom, you'll have your active major objective, but once you complete it, such as, let's say, beating the boss, instead of being kicked out of the kingdom, be forced to re-enter like previous games would have you do, you can actually continue playing right after you picked up that moon and start the next major objective or continue searching for other minor moons hidden throughout the stage.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
This is pretty cool. The design of the game itself is blended in more with the gameplay, in a way hiding the seams that tie all the major objectives in a kingdom together, which is awesome. I love it. Now let's move over to some of the boss battles, where the Sunshine references get even more apparent. It's awesome. Just listen to this, alright? First is Brutal, the rabbit boss fight that you fight in the Luncheon Kingdom. How he attacks is he actually, guess what? He sprays ink on the ground. Could they make it any more clear with the references to Sunshine? I mean, I'm not crazy. It's right there. You can see it. It is spraying ink. And how to defeat him? Well, you have to get the ink off the ground, and then you can get close enough to then jump on him. Obviously, you're not using a FLUDD or a jetpack or any of that sort. You're just using Cappy to kind of brush it off the ground. But hey, the gameplay concept is so similar, man. Now, the next boss battle is versus this big octopus guy. I don't really remember the name of him specifically. I plan on talking about him more a little bit later in the video, but what I do want to mention now while we're talking about bosses is that it looks like the arena he's in, well, it's not an arena, excuse me, that's what I meant to say. Unlike what we've seen of fighting against the other rabbits, they've been kind of in like a circular arena, more traditional that way where you're taking on the boss in that format. While this new squid guy, you're going all over the map, all over the Seaside Kingdom, which looks so much fun. It reminds me heavily of the Phase 2 or the second PD Piranha refight, where he's like taking a nap on the top of the hill, and when you wake him up, he actually flies over the entire town, like harassing everything. It's awesome. It's such a fun fight. I mean, it can be kind of a pain, I'll admit. I mean, if he flies off to an area where you can't reach him, it's like, dude, come over here. I'm done with this. Get over here so I can just take you out. Same goes for the Wiggler boss fight. Now, that was awesome when that thing's running all over the place like a mad train. It makes it feel like the world is super dynamic in comparison to then fighting all the bosses in set arenas, kind of like Galaxy and other traditional Mario do. Now let's talk about some of the returning FLUDD power-ups to be here in Odyssey, which is crazy. Yeah, FLUDD power-ups are in this freaking game. Not through FLUDD, but their idea, their design, their gameplay is essentially being brought over into Odyssey, it looks awesome. It's fantastic. First being the jet flower thing. We've already seen it previously in the trailer that they showed off at the Nintendo Direct, but here we get a little better look of how it works. So essentially Mario throws his cap into the flower, and the flower is brought back onto Mario's back, right? And that's when the jet stream of water starts coming out, giving him the opportunity to run across the water, similar to, the jet nozzle from Super Mario Sunshine. So it's not like you have a tank of water in your back or anything, so I wouldn't expect being able to, traverse the world like this at free will as fast as you want. But it is a quick burst of speed for easy travel. Looks like you can actually collect these little music notes in a row to then unlock that moon at the end. I'm just fascinated that this is actually returning. I mean, I know this was the first thing I thought of when I saw it in the Nintendo Direct. And it's cool to see it further explained here and how it works and how long it lasts before you have to find solid ground again. The next FLUDD comparison is the new capturable water enemy. It literally looks like FLUDD crossed with an Octorok. I don't even know what this thing is called, but essentially what it does is it stays in this ball of water, right, and it sprays ink at Mario. However, if you capture it, you can actually use it to fly up in the air, spray water around in, like, various different directions. And come on, if the FLUDD similarities weren't apparent yet, like, look at this thing. It is literally FLUDD. You got the hover / kind of rocket nozzle that can shoot you up in the air and fly. It looks like you obviously have a little bit more control over your trajectory compared to anyways how FLUDD was operated, where the hover was more like, you know, just traversing horizontally across a gap, and then of course rocket nozzle was going straight up and then, you know, kind of influencing your trajectory to hopefully land to where you're trying to go. And then the spin attack spray, that is nearly the exact same thing as the spin attack from Sunshine. I love it! I am so happy to see all these Sunshine references. I think the best takeaway from all this is not that they're like just plain out copying or reusing the Sunshine gameplay stuff and bringing it in here to Odyssey. I think they're more like they're trying to give it a second life. They're redesigning it, tweaking it to make a little bit more sense in the context of a Mario game, not making the full emphasis around it, which I think why people are responding to it much more positively than a lot of people did in regards to FLUDD himself. See, these two, the Jet Flower, the Captural little Octorok guy, they're power-ups. They're just temporary power-ups. You're not going to be traversing the entire game, let alone even an entire stage like that, you know? Yes, you need that little Octorok guy to fight this boss, find some hidden moons here and there, and then as well as the Jet Flower to, you know, get across areas, but it's not imperative to the gameplay. The focus is still on Mario's 3D platforming, which is a perfect segue, baby, right into my next point. Now this is like literally the reason I wanted to do this video. So in the Luncheon Kingdom, they found this section, right? It's a little island, there's a little door there, and there's a little, I don't know, clothing statue, mannequin, that's the right word, little wooden mannequin, right? You throw Cappy on there, all of a sudden Mario's naked. I mean, normal day, right? Mario's just naked all of a sudden. You go in this door, and it's Sunshine all over again. It's the FLUDD-less section, it's the Cappy-less sections. You go in and there's a 3D platforming challenge where you have to take it on without the addition of your Cappy abilities. Similar to how in Sunshine, you would go into certain little secret areas, for example, and Shadow Mario would actually steal FLUDD from you. So you'd actually have to complete these 3D platforming sections without FLUDD at all. As a kid, I hated these. These were the worst stages. I hated them so much just because I couldn't do them. I was so reliant on FLUDD growing up playing this game. But retrospectively, going back to play it and playing these stages were some of my favorite parts of the game. They're awesome because it relies heavily on your skill and your control of Mario, and it kind of proves to the point of people's complaint about FLUDD hindering the experience of the game. Now, I don't want to get too far into detail about this, but like, how crazy would it be if Shadow Mario actually made a return here in Odyssey? Don't get me wrong, I'm very clear, I understand that Shadow Mario is not stealing Cappy here. You know, you're just going into a section, you're willingly giving up your Cappy to open the door for you to get in there. But from a gameplay design and perspective, it's the same thing, it's the same concept, which is extraordinary, it's so cool. I can't wait to see more sections like this throughout the game to kind of challenge you to take on these tasks without the help of Cappy. And if Shadow Mario does make a return and steals Cappy from you or something like that, that'd be insane. I don't really expect it to happen. But hey, who knows? I mean, we've been having so many Sunshine references so far in this game, especially in these past few weeks. So maybe it wouldn't be too outlandish to maybe think that would happen. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you would think. This is furthered by the fact that some new art came out of Nintendo Japan showing off some promotional stuff for Super Mario Odyssey, where they showed off a full map, a full globe, flattened picture of what we could expect for the overworld of Super Mario Odyssey. There are some distinguishable landmarks like the kingdoms we already know about, the Mushroom Kingdom, you know, the big Mushroom Island, Cap Kingdom of course. But let's just take a closer look. The bottom little left area, check what next to the Mushroom Kingdom, what shape is that? Is that, I don't know, a dolphin? Maybe, perhaps? Like, I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen a dolphin island before, except for Isle Delfino, baby! I couldn't even imagine if in Mario Odyssey, we had the opportunity to return to Isle Delfino. Especially since the worlds and kingdoms themselves are now expanded and a lot bigger, we wouldn't be locked to just Delfino Plaza. I could really imagine all the interconnected places on the island, being able to traverse between them all freely. Oh my gosh, that would literally make my life. Now, I don't want to get my hopes up too much or get way too hyped out of proportion. It could be just an Easter egg just showing off, hey, this is still in the same world of Mario. Here's where Isle Delfino is type deal. Which that likely could be the case, and I'll keep my hype levels low. But if we get the chance to go back to Delfino Plaza, it's game over. It's game over. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about all these new details, these new references to Super Mario Sunshine? I think what I've seen so far, the things I am most excited for is the Octo-Rock FLUDD. That is so fantastic. You're flying about, spraying the water. So freaking cool, man. Then, of course, the Cappy-less or FLUDD-less sections where it's just the 3 platforming challenges without Cappy. Potential of even a Shadow Mario, I don't think so, but who knows. Also, seeing the bosses were really cool. The brutal, you know, basic, but awesome and fun. But I think the one where you're fighting on the overworld, playing as the little Octorok guy shooting around, that's awesome. That is so cool. Be sure to give this video a big awesome like, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more on Super Mario Odyssey and other fun Nintendo Switch content. I've been really enjoying doing these videos like this in this format, so if you're looking forward to seeing more like this, definitely, like I said, subscribe, and I plan to do tons more like this up until the game's release, and of course, tons of coverage once the game's out. It's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. Easily my most anticipated game right now, by frickin' far. So yeah, thanks again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!